Hello, whiskey folk. Hello, welcome to another Thursday night. I hope you've all had a fantastic summer, but I'm back again. It's 9:45 on Thursday, here back hanging out with you guys after a very long summer. Welcome everybody. I can see that you're all waiting. I can see that you've been chatting amongst yourselves, waiting on me getting sorted and set up here. Really excited to join you tonight. I know what you're all thinking. I'm thinking the exact same as you, that a summer break is all very well, but 2 months is perhaps just a wee bit too long. The idea was always to take August off, but of course I was on holiday at the end of July, so the middle of July show was the last one. And if you take August off, the first show in September is today, but it ended up being 2 months. And it was just far too long for me. I was really missing this. I was missing this Thursday hangout. I was missing the fix I get from the community, from the sharing, all of it. And obviously thinking about it, I realized that you guys had mentioned it last year already, or earlier this year. You'd mentioned that this has become a bit like a virtual pub, and that's exactly what it is. You know, this scheduled show goes out at the same time every other week, and I was really quite proud that I managed to keep that up over the course of winter time and into spring and early summer this year. So I decided, rather than kind of just call it the live stream, that I would actually refer to it as that I'd refer to it as the virtual pub. And you guys are hanging out there in the lounge. I'm kind of in some way your host, your barkeep, your barman, whatever you would want to call me. And I guess we'll have other people coming in and taking bar duty from time to time as well when we have guests. But it does kind of have that feel. And if you can't get out to the pub has to come to you. Unfortunately, we've got the technology to do that nowadays. Listen, it's fantastic to see so many people in. Really excited to get things started up again and hang out with you every couple of weeks as we say goodbye to summer and the creep on into the winter months. I hope you all had a fantastic summer. Summer here in Scotland was fantastic. We actually had a summer this year. We had lots of sunshine. We had lots of great weather. It's changed recently. In the last few weeks, it's been a bit changeable and miserable, back to good old Scottish weather again. But we can't really complain because it's been fantastic. And look at the amount of people that's in already. Fantastic, guys. Wonderful to have you here. Wonderful to have you supporting and sharing whiskey with me. And there were people in the lounge already before things had opened, and there was a huge chat going on. I was trying to catch up with bits and pieces of it as I was getting set up here. But right from the get-go, right from the start, Jez was in. Jez Batty, fantastic Jez. Jason Coates, Gregor, The Alchemist, a fellow Glaswegian, The Alchemist. Amy is in, of course. Amy, good for you, Amy, drumming up the likes. I hope again tonight. Amy has become the thumbs up bully, so expect some bullying from Amy a bit later. Great to see you in. Hoyt was in. I've been pronouncing your name wrong for a long time, Hoyt, but I know now the E is silent, so you're Hoyt. Fantastic to welcome you in, my friend. Whiskey Freedom is in. Fantastic to see you here. Whiskey Throttle, Daniel, you're at work. I understand, buddy. I know that. I hope you're knocking off soon. The time difference for you guys is always a struggle. Bird Dog is in. Fantastic, my friend. Good to see you from Florida. Rombout is in. Aye, laddie. Fantastic to see you. Loch Ness. Whiskey Wolf. Rolf. Superb. I caught an Instagram post from you, and I think you've got a bit of a... Either I'm becoming pretty predictable or you have a decent premonition about you. Vegas Art is in. Fantastic to see you. Mashburn, superb. Bernard Mulligan, new name, Bernard. Fantastic to welcome you in. These are just the guys that were here very, very early on. Batman is in. Fantastic. If you're going to welcome somebody, welcome Batman. Malt Chronicles is in. Fantastic. Bart, good to see you. Jason Whiskey Wise, fantastic, buddy. I see that you're in here and moderating for me as well. Fantastic to have your support again, my friend. That's Jason Whiskey Wise. If you don't know who Jason is, he's got his own channel, one of the most enthusiastic whiskey reviewers on YouTube. Fantastic guy. Travis is in. Long time no see, Travis. How are you keeping, my friend? Great to see you back in again. Whiskey Jason in Germany. Fantastic whiskey. Another fellow whiskey tuber with channels in German and English. Fantastic. Just so many of you in. Great to see you all. Thomas S is in. Superb, my friend. Good to see you. I think, Thomas, is it you that I missed in Glasgow just quite recently? There's been a few people coming in and out of Glasgow recently, and over the summer, there's been lots of visitors, and I've managed to catch up with quite a few of you, but it's becoming tough. It's becoming tough to get the time, even if it's just coming in for a quick dram, a handshake, and a hello and things. But do let me know when you're in town, because it might just be that we've got an opportunity to hang out together. My friend Era from Belgium is coming into Scotland, and I'm hoping that I'm going to get a chance to see him on Saturday night, for example. Last night I managed to hang out with Ben from Single Malt Alliance. Fantastic guy, absolutely superb time we had. And you know, just taking little opportunities to kind of break down that kind of virtual side of things, and kind of you know, let the real world have a kind of say, and remember that we are real people, right? Mike's in Bourbon Shenanigans, fantastic. Eric Waite's in, superb. Eric's just relaunched his whole whiskey channel, so you need to make sure that if you're a subscriber to Eric's Waite, that you need to Eric Waite, you need to subscribe to his new channel. He's divided his wine study side of things from his whiskey side of things, so you need to make sure that you're subbed to the right channel for Eric. Fantastic to see you all, superb. So, I mean, I've suggested that the theme tonight is going to be 12-year-olds. This is a 12-year-old that I'm sipping to start off tonight, and it's actually probably right now my favourite 12-year-old, but I'll get to that in a minute. The reason I came up with this theme, this 12-year-old theme, is that over the course of this summer, there's been quite a few events that have happened to me, and there has been a common theme, and that a lot of these events have been provided by very young whiskies. Whiskies that are much younger than perhaps what you would say would be a core expression, a core entry-level expression. You know, something about 10 or 12 years old, we kind of see that as being the starter, the entry level of an official bottling core range. But so many whiskies I tried this summer were way, way younger than that, and yet fantastic, really fantastic. And it got me thinking about the humble 12-year-old and the way that we view the 12-year-old nowadays. It's quite a bizarre thing when you look at whiskey and history, the history of whiskey. Not that long ago, 12 years old aged whiskey was super aged. It was like a premium long aged spirit. 8 years old was seen as aged, 10 years old, 12 years old. In fact, there was a time that it was believed that 15 years and older, the whiskey was probably becoming a bit too influenced by the oak, by the wood, and that it had gone a bit too far. So yeah, I mean, there was a time when a 12-year-old was seen as a very, very old whiskey. But because of obviously the boom that whiskey saw, the second big boom of whiskey, if you like, that happened from post-war right through to the early 70s, there was massive production of whiskey, so that when the decline happened in the late 70s, the industry was left with lots and lots of maturing stock. So they had to kind of teach us that older stock was desirable. And, you know, the Glengoyne 8-year-old turned to the 10-year-old, to the 12-year-old. The Lagavulin was a 12-year-old. It turned to, in the late 80s, a 16-year-old. And the whiskey became older and older because there was lots and lots of stock available. And that's how it all came about. So we see a 10-year-old, we see a 12-year-old, and we see it as being a really quite mature, quite a young product, when actually it always has been a very mature product. So I wanted to talk a wee bit about that, and I wanted to share with you some of the whiskies, some of the young whiskies that I tried this summer that really made me stop and think and really enjoy it. Let's catch a couple of comments from you guys. Just pull up the chat again. So I'm just going to be grabbing things that are highlighted for me, just so that can be, this chat is moving really quite fast tonight. 113 of you already, fantastic guys. So if you are trying to get my attention and you're failing even with a highlighted text at Aquavite, Jason is in as well. So you can also highlight Jason, and Jason will also send me through some direct messages as well on this wee device I've got in front of me here. Whiskey Throttle is saying, what is a summer vacation? Sorry to hear that, Daniel. You've not managed to have a vacation yet, have you? If you are having a vacation, when are you planning to come over and see me, Daniel? That's what I'd like to know. Lol summer, we already got snow. Wow, you've got snow falling already, Daniel. George Kaplan, fantastic to see you, George. And he's saying, look, all fresh, summer-faced. Glad to have you back. It's wonderful to be back. And I have to say that that's probably got a lot to do with the lights that I've got in here. There's new lights in here as well. I took some advice from Scott at the Scotch for Dummies, and I got some lights that had a remote and things that I could control. But they kind of flush me up and make my pink face look even pinker and things. But I'll continue fiddling around with that. As long as you can see me and hear me clearly, that's all that matters. Thanks, George, and it's great to see you in. Jos is in. Jos Corte saying, enjoying the Deanston 2008 Bordeaux Red Wine Cask. That's what I bought at the pot still last night and shared it with the two guys, with Ben and Clara I was out with last night, and that's what I bought for them. It's really quite powerful. It's 58 or 59% or 59.7, 58.7, something like that. So it was really quite high and hot and peppery. But I remember how much I loved that the first time I tried it. And I think the problem last night is that we were a bit too greedy and drinking it quickly and not taking our time and putting a wee bit of water in it. But a wonderful dram. I've got a bottle of it here, actually. I love it. Gregor is in. Fantastic to see you, Gregor. There's always someone trying to get into the pub before the doors are open. Exactly. It's exactly, which is absolutely fine. It's absolutely fine. You can come in and take a seat well in advance. The chat, the lounge is already open. Gregor is in. He's saying, hi, Roy. Yes, Scotland was beautiful, and we had only very few rain. Yes, I mean, there's so many people, so many visitors come in and just get treated to wonderful scenery. I always say that because of the amount of water we get and because of how lush and green it is through that water, when the sun does pop out, you really can't beat it. The colours are like high definition, vivid colours that you see. And that blue sky, that super lush, vivid green grass and things, it just makes it fantastic. And we had that for quite a while this year. And then as time goes on, the grass kind of starts to yellow out. It's quite unbelievable. Like Glengoyne, I heard that the little waterfall, that once upon a time at Glengoyne, that waterfall was the water source, had shrunk so much that it was barely a string of water that was coming down. And I think the industry suffered from water problems right across the country this year. Hoyt is saying, no problem, fantastic, Hoyt, and I'm forgiven then, superb. And okay, I've just seen someone's buying me whiskies, which is fantastic. I need to catch up with the chat to see who that's coming in from. I've just had Travis, my friend in the States, buying me a virtual dram. Travis, thank you so much. That's fantastic. Also, Kieran May, thank you so much, my friend. Summer is on the wane. Still, autumn is a beautiful season too. Absolutely, Kieran, it is. And it's kind of nice coming back into that kind of whiskey zone again, where, you know, summer, you're kind of, if you are drinking whiskies, you're looking for lighter whiskies. You're maybe pouring some whiskies over ice and having whiskey sodas like I was when I was on holiday this year. But as the nights start to get a wee bit darker, a bit cooler and fresher again, whiskey starts to come into its own again, doesn't it? I've also had a nice dram bought by Dovaco. He's bought me some, I think that's Danish kroner. Thank you so much, Dovaco. Is that a new name? I wonder if you could introduce yourself. I know you as someone else. That's very, very generous of you, and thank you so much for that. Thank you, everybody, for the virtual drams. Cosby Coast Whiskies is in. Fantastic to see you, Phil. And he's saying Aquaviti Redbreast 12. Superb choice, absolutely. Kilkerran 12. Superb choice. Favourite 12-year expressions. Cracking value 2. I would agree completely. I would agree with both of those. I've really been enjoying. I was looking for some in the pot still last night. I was looking for some. They had some redbreasts in. They didn't have the green spot, the Bordeaux cask one at Chateau Léoville Barton. They didn't have it, but they did have a few redbreasts in. In the end, we didn't stay long enough to try them. Yeah, I love Irish single pot still Irish whiskey. I love the texture. I love the oiliness of it as well, and it seems to do very, very well when it's had that extra richness from a nice active wine cask or a sherry cask as well. The Lustal, for example, expression from Redbreast was a favourite of mine. Hey Mark, Whiskey Whistle is in. Whiskey Whistle. Another fellow whiskey tuber, and he said, welcome back to YouTube, buddy. Mark, thank you very, very much, and thank you for the virtual dram as well, my friend. It's great to see you in. And that's kind of one of the coolest things about this community. It's not just the kind of the cool relationship that's happening in the community the viewers and the people that watch, but the channels are all very friendly and collaborate with each other, and we're very well connected. And that makes it an absolute pleasure. Thomas S is saying it was in Austin we met. Fantastic, Thomas. I met so many fantastic people out there. People that, you know, they were coming up and they were talking to me, and it was only through talking to them for a few minutes that I realized that they actually knew who I was, and they maybe referenced a video or something like that. It was just a great time. That was a fantastic trip. Laddie is saying, enjoying one of your samples, Roy. Superb. The 20-year-old Clynelish. Fantastic. The 20-year-old. I wonder what cask number it is, because if it's 8687, I think I sent you that, Rombout. That's my favourite all-time signatory vintage Clynelish cask. It was one that was discovered by the Whisky Rev. And I think we ended up buying, well, that bottle that I've got now that I would have sent to you, a sample from, that was my 5th, or between the Whisky Rev and I, that was 5 bottles of that cask that we bought. It was just fantastic. Orbosphere, that's a new name, Orbosphere. Welcome in, my friend. He's saying, how about Yamazaki 12? Expensive but good. I just can't participate. And you've hit the nail on the head. It's just too damn expensive. Absolutely, it's a good whiskey. It's a very good whiskey, especially for a 12-year-old whiskey. But the prices that you need to pay to enjoy that 12-year-old whiskey means it doesn't just make this list. It's not just that it's excluded from this list. It's never going to be in this house at those prices. There's just so many other good expressions out there that you can buy and have lots of leftover money to buy other things with. Unfortunately, the pressure on Japanese whiskey now is unfair on it, because it means that even when the liquid is good, it's struggling to keep up, and it's struggling to live up with the price you're having to pay for it. And Ron Bout is saying 8687, yes, it's a real surprise. Love it. Still 3 grams left. Fantastic, Ron Bout. Superb to hear that you're enjoying it. It takes water very, very well. So yeah, the 12-year-old thing. I already did this earlier in the year. I shared what my top 3 12s were. And I've kind of got the same 3 here, and I've actually got 5 here because there was a couple that I just felt like I couldn't exclude, and they're completely interchangeable. So don't imagine that my favourite tonight is always going to be my favourite, and it always kind of switches up and changes round, right? And I fully reserve the right, as we all should, to change your mind about whiskey tomorrow, right? That's just the nature of it. It's to do with mood, and kind of the whiskey kind of changing batch by batch, bottling by bottling, and where you are in whiskey and things as well. But I kind of want to share with you what those 12-year-olds are for me. Obviously drive home the fact that 12-year-old is a very, very mature product, and also share with you some of the super young stuff. Travis is asking, I just found a Hibiki 21 and cracked it at the store and shared it with the employees. I made a few friends. That's very generous of you, Travis. A Hibiki 21. Wow, I dread to think what that's going for now. Emil is in. Emil, we met in Texas. Fantastic to see you in. And he's saying, thank you for recommending the Isla video. I'm really glad you enjoyed it. Fantastic. I hope it's given you enough motivation, Emil, to get yourself on a little flight and come over and explore the island for yourself, because you'll love it. Ben, actually, from Single Malt Alliance, took a flight over there today, but he was getting in and out in the same day, which I don't know how that's going to go for him. I hope he's enjoyed it. Multi-Haggis Muncher has asked me, tried a signature vintage Clynelish 16-year-old, an older one as a sample, really liked that. Yeah, I mean, Clynelish is usually pretty rock solid, regardless of who bottles it. Finished the last sip of what is my favourite 12-year-old right now. Very delicate, very subtle, very clean, and very well crafted. Bobby Purnell, fantastic to see you in, Bobby. Superb to see you. From Texas, but didn't get a chance to meet him when I was over there. He's saying, is there a price point at which, when you go beyond that price, you think there is a declining value regardless of the whiskey? Absolutely, Bobby. And I think if we used a 12-year-old as an example to answer your question, I think that once 12 years old gets above £50, £55 of that order, it starts to struggle, and you know, the higher you get up. So that's round about the $65, $70 mark for you guys, I think. And I know the pricing levels are different. It's not just about exchange rate, but just to give you a guide. So I think Macallan, for example, the 12-year-old Macallan is now at the point where you're thinking, you know that it's good whiskey, you know that it's good quality whiskey. But it's at that price now that there's so many other things that you can have that's cheaper and going to give you more character and the ability to buy more whiskey and taste things in contrast and things. So yeah, but there is a thing, you know, whiskey can struggle to keep to live up to the price often, but you have to sometimes consider that it's sometimes worth paying a wee bit more, even if the whiskey, probably the liquid itself, isn't worth it. If you have the ability to try something that's difficult to get hold of, so you know as time goes on, it's just going to get more and more expensive. Or if you're able to try something from a historical perspective, you know, that's something it's really in short supply, then of course the whiskey can't live up to the high prices that it's going to command. But you have to remember that sometimes it gives you an opportunity to try perhaps a little bit of history or something. But I think the conversation and the spirit of what I'm talking about tonight with the 12-year-olds is things that you can literally go into your local specialist and buy. That's kind of where I'm coming from. Things that are core product. They're not limited release. They're not special editions. Things that people can buy. And I know that most of us, where we are in our whiskey journey now, we're kind of going after the limited releases and things, and we're going after the cask strength things. That's fine, and it's very, very valid. But the 12-year-olds I'm focusing on tonight is core product that are part of the official range and is widely distributed and available to everyone. Toon Van Rouge is in. Toon, fantastic, my friend, and thank you for your very recent support as well. He said, it's nice you're back. You had a good trip to Texas. I'm also just back from the US and Canada from a road trip. Fantastic. I hope you loved it. The Alchemist is saying, just back from a tennis tournament in Belfast where I managed to get to Bittles Whiskey Bar. I've never heard of that. Had the Redbreast Lusto, okay, or Lustau. Totally agree, epic stuff. Yeah, very, very textured, nice, rich, lots of spice. Method Madness, Chestnut, great cask great too. I didn't try any of the Method and Madness releases. And I hear some of them were quite divisive, right? Phil's in, Phil Dwyer, fantastic to see you joining us, Phil. So Phil is obviously, he's the guy at the helm of Whiskey Wednesday. So yeah, another whiskey YouTuber in as well, fantastic. And he's talking to West Coast Whiskey. So where do you live? And is it still on? So yeah, that's Phil. So Cosmic Coast Whiskies is Phil, and Phil Dwyer. Phil is from Northern Ireland. Macallan Fine and Rare is in. Superb, fantastic. It's getting some spam coming in, I think. Just shut that down. Go Habs is in. Fantastic to see you, my friend. Whiskey Yoshi is in. Superb. Yoji, we got to meet when we were out in Texas as well. He's saying, what are you going to bring to the next La Quinta Inn reunion? Well, now that I know what's happening there, I realise that I have to bring some whiskey to contribute to the impromptu bar. So if that's happening again, it'd be a pleasure for me to come across and have something to contribute. In the meantime, it's really nice to welcome you in here, my friend. Fantastic. And Thomas is asking, in Austin, did you try the Colcagan? No, I did not. I didn't. There was just so many whiskies, wasn't there? There's so many things to try. Everwind is in. Superb, and he's saying, got my coin last week. Fantastic. Pretty much all the coins are gone now. I did before they went on general release, I told my patrons that they were available. The patrons got in and got their stuff first. Then I did the kind of announcement out on a live, just when I did that live in August, the kind of ad hoc one. And just, you know, with the social media sharing and things, these coins have pretty much gone. I've literally got 2 or 3 left in this box, but I've also still got orders and things coming in by email even now. So I think, unfortunately, I probably ordered too few coins. And there's a couple of people as well that have come on and said they don't have their coins yet. I'm hoping that it's just that the postage, the service is slow, because all of them have been shipped. I've got nothing else to ship. Everything's gone out. But tell me, if you ordered coins, especially if you ordered coins, you know, at the end of August, like so many of you did, and you don't have them yet, please get in touch as quickly as you can. I've kept all the receipts and let me know that you've got your coins. It's fantastic to see that so many of them are arriving. I'm seeing photos and people are sending me messages and things. They're going down really well. I was really pleased with them. I like them. They're cool. They match up quite well with all the other coins here. I've kind of got them all sitting out here. I'll just show you quickly. These are the coins from the Scotch for Dummies. Fantastic. And each one of them carries a quotation from each of the guys around the side. My favourite one is from Mark. I think it's Mark Broda's coin, and it says, "Shut up, liver, you're fine." So these guys come out. This is fantastic, this coin. This is the Cask 4 coin from Scotch for Dummies. And I just love that kind of a Spartan helmet kind of mash-up thing that they've got going on there. Really cool. It's actually my favourite coin from them, and their Android coin was really quite cool as well. I'm still waiting on my Trenny C coin. Those guys had coins. Whisky Dictionary, Bill, he's got some coins coming out of here. And a couple of other channels are interested in as well, because they're actually getting people asking, are you going to do some coins? Are you going to release something? And it's just, they're cool little mementos to hanging about. What I would like to propose, though, is in the concept of this being a challenge coin. So the idea is, if you bump into somebody in a bar and you get talking about it and you challenge somebody and they pull out their coin, then that you need to buy them a drink. But if they don't happen to be carrying their coin, they need to buy you a drink. What I would say is, I think that we can't all go around carrying all of these. So providing you carry one of the channel's coins to show that you're supporting Whisky Tube, I think that should be deemed acceptable. What would you say? Would you agree with that, or do you think that's a bit weak? Error is saying your package arrived today. Fantastic. Well, Error, you were one of the first ones I sent out. No, actually you were not. You weren't. I only sent yours out recently, of course. Yours just went out, I think, last week. Fantastic that you've got it. Superb. Welsh Toro's in. Fantastic to see you, Welsh. He's saying everybody's in. What about me, big fella? Love that you're back on. Hi, everyone. I mean, all my multi-pals. Fantastic, Welsh. It's fantastic to have you in, buddy. It's always great to see you. 143 of you in. Wow. Okay, it's going to be a struggle for me to keep up with this chat. I might need your help, Jason. Just see if you've been sending me anything here. Looks like we're clean. Superb, my friend. Sherry Malt Drams is in. Fantastic. Great live in Texas. Yeah, we did. I felt it was a bit hectic, if I'm honest. It was just that kind of being out of your comfort zone and trying to kind of cobble things together and hope that the Wi-Fi was working. And if you saw the live from the hotel room, we literally had like less than 1 megabit upload. It was really patchy and grainy, but it was enough to be able to share at least some of the spirit with you, right? Eric is saying, Eric is saying he's also got coins on the way and he's bringing them with him to Kansas. So talking about the Texas thing, this was really, really fantastic for lots of reasons, for Whisky, for the event, for the community of it all. Wonderful. But it was a really cool thing for the channels to get together. And it was really cool for the channels to be able to connect with people that they only see in comments, perhaps. That was perhaps the best thing. And it made me realize that could be something that really works quite well in the future going forward, and that the channels in the UK could do something, I could do something, other channels in the States could do something, because that was really that kind of event. That the fun of that event was really addictive fun, fabulous, good-natured whiskey sharing magnificence. And if that can continue to happen, I'll fully support that, and I'll do everything I can to join. I'll do everything I can to help make them happen. But there is one coming up in October, and I think there are still tickets left to this. In October, the Scotch Test Dummies in Wichita, Kansas are hosting their 5-year anniversary celebration. And over the course of the weekend, there's various things. They've got a dinner on the Friday night, then they've got a meetup and hangout on the Saturday, and then another dinner on the Saturday night. Not sure if there's anything arranged on a Sunday morning, but what will happen is people congregate there and meet up there. The other little things will happen, and people will get together and maybe have little impromptu tastings and meetups of their own and things. Really, if you can get to that thing that's happening in Kansas, if there's any way for me to get there, I'll be there. But it's really looking very, very unlikely for me right now. I have no holidays left. no holidays from work, and certainly no holidays left from the family. So it's going to be super, super difficult. And I've also got a project on at work that takes out most of that week. But I would love to be there. I'd love to be there and just have that same experience all over again. So that thing that's happening in Kansas, you'll find it in the Scotch Test Dummies website under their events tab. It's all the details are on there, and it looks fantastic. Whisky Yoshi is saying that the Spartan coin has a Glencairn glass as the nose. If you look closely, yes, it does. Let's have a wee look at that. So this is the latest dummies coin. This is available now, and yeah, if you look at that that helmet, the nose on the helmet is actually a Glencairn. Cool little Easter egg. Well spotted, Yoji. Mark is asking what was the best bottle you bought while in the USA. That's an easy question to answer. There was lots of choice. I came back with an Old Pulteney 21, but I knew what that was like. I got it at retail price, and I just bagged it and I put it in the case and brought it home, and I'm glad I've got it there. That one will be tucked away to gather some dust for me and open on a special moment sometime in the future. But the best American whiskey that I brought back, in terms of how it impacted me, I've not really had much time to sit with it yet, was a Balcones Mirador, which is a Texas single malt whiskey. And it's been matured in used casks. And it was very, very complex. It's the closest thing to Scotch that I've tasted in terms of American whiskey. I have another one here, and I'm actually going to pour it right now. This was given to me by my friend Mario. I met Mario when he was in Scotland a few weeks back, and he gave me this, and he was convinced that I would love it. I guess this has been Japanese. It's very delicate, very light, very complex, really nice whiskey. And when he told me what it was, this is actually Michter's American single malt. And my wife came up and she poured a little bit out of this bottle. She was intrigued by the cool little bottle, and she poured a little bit and tasted it. And she said that she thought it was very nice. So it is. It's a very pleasant whiskey, and I've been waiting to open it, and I hoped that I'd get the opportunity. The only thing I'm drinking tonight, really, apart from this, I've got a bunch of samples out, and I'm just going to randomly reach out and grab samples. I would encourage you to do the same as well. If you've got samples and you've got people that have sent you samples, crack them open. They're sitting waiting to hear what you think about those samples, right? And it's just the polite thing to do. I did a sample night live stream, and it was the quietest live stream I had. It didn't seem to be a theme that inspired people. It was only live stream that didn't get over 100 people in, and I wondered maybe a sample night is not the best thing to do. But I love the idea of samples. I love the idea of exchanging samples and sharing whiskey that way. And so many of my favorite whiskies I've been introduced to through that sample exchange thing. So yeah. Anyway, sláinte, folks. Whiskey in the Six has just sent me a dram across the pond. Thank you so much, Rob, my friend. You're a superstar. You're always supporting the other channels as well. And you're just such a classy gentleman. Fantastic. Thank you. And also, Willie Dollier, my friend Willie's in. And he's saying, disappointed at having to pull a parachute this week. Have a couple of drams till we catch up. So Willie and I had arranged to get together with Scott Monroe, who I've not actually seen. He's probably in tonight. I'm sure Scott will be in. But Scott and I hooked up on Tuesday night this week, and we went along to the Glasgow Whisky Club for a really cool independent bottling tasting lineup from Dram Full, with an independent bottler. And Willie was supposed to join us that night, but for understandable reasons, he couldn't. Willie, it's no problem at all. I hope that virtual dram you've just bought me is not a guilt purchase. But I'll use that when I next see you and we get together again. And another dram's come in from KB. KB, you're some kind of awesome guy. You've come on, you've started to support me. I didn't have the opportunity to meet up with you when you were in Edinburgh. It was so close. It almost happened. But thank you so much for your recent support. And thank you again for this wonderful, generous gift that you've sent across the Atlantic to me as well. KB, if you get a chance to come back here again, with a bit more notice, a bit more planning, I'm fairly certain that we'll get to hang out together next time, my friend. But that's wonderful of you. Thank you very much. The Alchemist is saying, what about you hosting a 2019 Glasgow Whisky vPub weekend? Have everyone over for a knees up. happy to help set it up. Well, fantastic, because you're local to me as well, so I might just recruit you for such activities. However, my plan, those of you who might know, and I've only shared this video with patrons, but on my own kind of private YouTube channel, there's a video of when I turned 40 years old. Only a few of my friends were into whiskey at that time. It's changed now, but I decided that I wanted to go to Islay for my 40th birthday. And I was pretty sure that nobody would want to go and do a whiskey pilgrimage with me. So I kind of spoke to my brother, and as far as I was concerned, it was him and I that were going. But I put the invite out to my friends, and 10 of them decided that they would like to join me on Islay for a whiskey thing. So we went in 2010 for my 40th for the Facial Festival, and it was fabulous, absolutely fabulous. If I could redo something like that for my 50th, that wouldn't be 2019, that would be 2020. Who knows? Maybe not for Facial, because the accommodation would cause us trouble. But yeah, that could be fantastic. Scott is in, Kilted Moose. Fantastic to see you, Scott. I've got your samples here. Scott brought me some fantastic samples. He brought me a Douglas Lang XOP Kalila 33-year-old cask strength. Just fantastic. He brought me a North Star Vega 41. That's the brand new Vega 41-year-old that's just out this year. And he also brought me an Antiquary 35-year-old. I mean, this guy is not messing around, right? Scott, you're a superstar. It's wonderful to have these in front of me, and they're really quite generous samples too, and I'm looking forward to sharing them. One of those might actually go open tonight, actually. Let's see. Whiskey Wings is in. Fantastic. So, Mike, are you still in Glasgow? He's saying, good evening, chaps. If you're still in Glasgow, how are you managing to tune in me? Why are you not out hanging out at the pot still or something like that? Are you hungover from your Loch Lomond trip yesterday? Fantastic to see you. And Andy Arbaggy's in as well. Fantastic, Andy. Good to see you in. Connor Strang is in. Superb. No Nonsense Whiskey Vin. Fantastic to see you all. Superb. But anyway, let's get on to this 12-year-old thing. Let's get through it. Let's start by telling you some of the young whiskies. I was at the Whisky Social, one of the whiskey festivals in Falkirk recently. And that was cool for a couple of reasons. One of the reasons was that it's Rosebank territory. It's very local to Rosebank. And Ian MacLeod, Rosebank, had put a table on there to advertise the fact that Rosebank was being reopened again, and he wanted to get excited about it. So they had plans out there that were openly taking questions about everything. But I thought this was very classy. They sourced half a dozen bottles of Rosebank, the old Flora and Fauna Rosebank, which is, I don't even know how much that goes for now, maybe about £300 or £400, maybe more than that, I'm not sure. But they sourced 6 bottles of this, and they brought it to the festival. And for each session in the festival, the early and the later session, they opened these whiskies and shared it with all the festival goers. First class gesture, just fantastic. And got a chance through doing that to enthuse with everyone and talk about some of the plans and some of the ideas they had for Rosebank. Superb. But also at that festival, Ardnamurchan were there. Now, I'd seen Ardnamurchan bring their new make to the Fife Festival earlier in the year, and there was a bit of a crowd around the new make. They wanted to try the new Ardnamurchan new make, and I didn't try it at that show. There was just a bit of a crowd, and I just stood back. But at this show, not only did they have the new make, which was delicious. Anybody that likes tasting new make spirits, you would love it. It's a very, very cool thing to do. Of course, it doesn't taste like the whiskey that we know. You can taste that it's just that spirit. No cask influence whatsoever yet. But what it gives you a chance to do is learn how fruity and floral and fresh and, yes, sometimes fiery and chemically, but so many flavors that you taste in whiskey, you can suddenly understand comes not from the cask, but actually comes from the spirit. So it's a wonderful thing to do if you get the opportunity on distillery tours, or sometimes you get the chance to buy little bottles of new make and things. Really cool thing to do, really cool thing to share. So the Ardnamurchan new make was fantastic, but then they pulled out a bottle of 1-year-old Ardnamurchan that had been aged, rapidly aged, in a French oak, I believe it was French oak, a French oak octave. And this was delicious. 1-year-old, well, it's not whiskey, you can't legally call it whiskey. It was 1-year-old, absolutely delicious. And things like that happening get me excited. Yes, whiskey of yesteryear, the old whiskies from a few, 3, 4 decades ago, were fantastic whiskies. but it was different times and there were different whiskies. And we've got so much choice now. We are now in the third boom time of whiskey. Whiskey's never known variety like this. Single malt has never been a thing before, but it's a huge thing right now. And the amount of variety that's available in whiskey, not just Scotch whiskey, not just single malt, all whiskey, it's never been better. And I was struck by how delicious that was at such a young age. I also got to try Llandoris Abbey as well. I got to try their new make, and again, my memory of that is violets, Parma violets, those sweets, that kind of violet flavor, kind of lavender, but not sour off, bitter, but fresh and sweet. So again, I'm excited about what they're going to be able to bring and produce, and I'm hearing great things about quite a few new distilleries being able to make some really good new make spirit, which is exciting. Andy's asking me if I've tried the Wheem's new make, and no, I have not. There's so many out there to try. Have you got any, Andy? You would taste this Michter's, and okay, as I taste it now, there is some kind of more American sweet vanilla type flavors to it, but it's much more fresh and delicate, a little bit more complex to my palate than what perhaps a Michter's bourbon or something would be. It's just a much more interesting prospect, I think, just to sit. I tend to find that with a lot of bourbons, especially the ones that are kind of low 40 ABV as well, they're kind of they're not two-dimensional. That would be unfair, but they're very, maybe it's just my palate. Maybe I've just not invested enough time in bourbon. I think that's probably closer to the truth. But it's all about the sweetness. It's all about the caramel and things. And I find a lot of them, despite that big sweet hit, they can be a wee bit thin to me as well. Not all. I tasted some amazing bourbons when I was in the States. Fantastic stuff. I got to try Scott's Stag Junior, his BTAC Stag Junior 2015. Just absolutely wonderful. Elijah Craig Barrel Proof, Jack Daniels Single Barrel Proof. All of these whiskies are event whiskies. You literally stop and stare into the glass when you sip them. So, yeah, it's not all kind of sweetness and vanilla and things. There are some really quite engaging drams out there. But this is a different take altogether. I believe that this is aged in used casks as well. I don't think this is virgin casks, which means that maybe it gets a little bit more time to mature. I don't know. I really don't know all the details about it. Ben Marnick is saying, good to see you in, Ben. Good to see my friend. He's saying Llandoris Aquavite is awful. There is only one Aquavite. Well, what they're doing with their Aquavite, Ben, is they're saying, they're taking their new make and they're infusing it with spices and herbs and flavors. And I think the one I tried, the Aquavite, was clove flavored. And what's curious about that is that there's a few whiskies out there that I taste cloves in anyway, but nothing like that, of course, just kind of light hints of that. But yeah, it's not something, I agree with you, it's not something I would sit down and sip. But some people love their liqueurs. Some people love their infusions, and that's what that is. Charles is in. Fantastic, my friend. Good to see you. It's great to welcome you in here. Bit late, guys. Not at all. You're on the West Coast. I'm amazed that you can even join us. What Michter's is Aquavite drinking tonight? I'm drinking the Michter's American Single Malt Whiskey. So I don't think it's widely available. I think it's maybe it's available to you guys, but I doubt it's available over here. Pretty delicious. Andy is saying, we'll send you some fantastic. That's the Weems New Make. Superb, Andy. Mikey is saying, nice t-shirt, Roy. Yes. I'm out of coins, but I do still have some t-shirts left. Unfortunately, the double XLs are gone. So if you're a big guy, I'm struggling. I might top up. I don't know. If there's enough people saying, yeah, I would have bought a double XL from you, I'll maybe do a top-up order or something. But I've still got small, medium, large, and extra large available, I think, in both colours. I think. And also have women's t-shirts available as well. So small, medium, and large, and women's. So if the coins are gone, but I can still help you out if you're after t-shirts. But these t-shirts, I'm really excited about them. They're really good. This has been washed 2 or 3 times now. It's still comfortable. It's super soft. It fits nice. Sorry, the print on it is very, very good as well. So yeah, I'm happy with them, and I'm happy with the quality of them, and I'm happy to be able to give them to people. And so far, I haven't had anybody complain about it. Jason Fisk is in, fantastic. He's saying the 2018 Northern Border collection will be out. Lot 40 cast strength 11, you're part of it. What would you be talking about there, Jason? I'm not very sure. It's a chat with Phil Dwyer. Gregor is saying, fantastic visit at their place. We'll talk more about it on my website report, but I'm impressed how they managed to respect the place. 1494. Where was that, Gregor? Where did you visit? Rolf is saying, nice to hear someone speak positive about the present times when it comes to whiskey. Yeah, I know, and I like tasting my old whiskies. Rolf is Whiskey Wolf, by the way. I like finding whiskies at auction from the past. I like tasting old expressions of whiskies. I like getting that idea of how whiskey has changed over time. I love it, but we're in the moment now, and there will be a time in the future that we're looking back with nostalgia to these days that we're living in now. So we need to enjoy them while they're here. There's lots of great stuff out there for us to engage with. Daniel's in, Daniel Vermaas, fantastic to see you. Aquaviti Roy, anything of a bourbon US whiskey episode in the planning? Yeah, there is kind of I've got this idea of, I got to meet two of the nicest people you'll ever meet in whiskey, and that was Chad and Sarah from It's Bourbon Night. Utterly disarmingly nice they were. Charming, the two of them. And they are absolutely up for doing a kind of little kind of live challenge thing. And they don't really, they're open to Scotch. They're trying it tippy toe, but they're not really wooed by it at all. And I thought, well, what we could do is maybe I could send you some Scotch and you send me some bourbon, and we kind of just do a step-by-step thing through, just to see, just to try and lead each other a little bit as if we were leading a beginner, right, into each other's kind of category. Because I need some leading on American whiskies and bourbon. And I think that they're open to hearing about Scotch as well. So I don't know what you think about that, but I'd be excited to do a collaboration with those guys. They're really cool. They did a collab last night on Bill's channel, Whiskey Dictionary, with Scott from Scotch Test Dummies. Jason Whiskey Wise is asking, did you find out about the Glengoyne Teapot Dram Batch 6 and why it has not been released? Yes, they picked the perfect set of casks. They were excited about it. They were ready to bottle it. Teapot Dram is a fantastic whiskey, by the way. I'm sure you've all heard me evangelizing about Teapot Dram in the past. Young sherried whiskey, cask strength, very bold style of whiskey. Again, a kind of nod to the past, but wonderful stuff. Event whiskey. Batch 5 was my favorite so far. Wonderful. I went through that bottle far too quickly, but I shared it. I sent it to everybody. I just kind of loved that bottle, and I was excited for the new one to come out. So they've selected all the casks, but when it went off for, I don't know, marrying, vatting, pre-bottling or whatever, they had a problem with, I think it was sediment. I think they had a problem with clouding. And they absolutely refuse point blank to chill filter. Of course they do. So what they're going to do is just kind of revisit it and work out what to do. And if that means that they have to wait a few months before they can get the next batch out, then I take my hat off to them for that, rather than kind of force something through or rush something out. They're saying, no, we understand that this has got a bit of a following, this whiskey. We're going to take our time with it and get it right. So as far as I understand it, that's what's happening with Teapot Dram, Jason. Andrew's in. Andrew, superb to see you daydreaming. Great to see you, my friend. I've missed you. And thank you very much for sending me that virtual dram all the way from the Southern Hemisphere. Fantastic. Mark is in. Mark Goins, superb. And he's saying, got to run. Great having you back. Close the door on the way out, my friend, and I hope to welcome you back sometime soon. Phil is saying, would be very happy to see that challenge, Aquaviti. Yeah, I think it's a good idea. That just kind of idea of just kind of leading each other a wee bit like we were kind of kid gloves. Into the kind of beginner aspect and trying to understand the landscape of each of those kind of categories. You're a big bourbon guy. I know that you love American whiskies as well, Phil. You've certainly got a lot more knowledge on that side than I do. And yeah, I'm realizing that to sit back and say I don't like, whiskey has taught me time and time again, don't ever say you don't like, because a few months down the line, you're going to be looking back saying, damn, I've wasted time. I should have been engaging with this. Caskmate, fantastic to welcome you in. It's a new name, I think. He's saying, do you think the whisky industry is starting to focus more on the presentation of the whisky? Absolutely they are, rather than focusing on old whiskies and our better sellers. Well, I think that what we're seeing is that if, depending on your scale, if you're a big volume producer, you're kind of going to continue putting out the things that's got you to that size, that scale, and you're just going to fulfill that and try and expand your markets as much as you can. But there's so much granularity in single malt whiskey right now. I'm speaking about Scotch again. So much granularity that everybody's trying to find, a kind of unique selling point, right? And they all realize that when the smaller ones, they're going to have to engage with the geeky end of the market. They're going to have to present the product in a way that they would like to sit at home and drink and appreciate themselves as whiskey fans. And I think we're seeing a lot of that. And we have seen some producers. I mean, we've seen the Inverhouse guys, the Balblair guys, Anok and things like that, turning out some nice presentation. Aaron, Ben Romack, Distell, Burn Stewart, right across their whole entire range. Good ABVs, trying to do age statements as much as possible. And if they don't do age statements, they're doing vintages. Non-chill filtration, natural color, all the things that we like. There's more and more of that available. There's more of that available now than there's ever been. Colorless Blue, thanks, fantastic to see you in. Still haven't got to the theme of the chat. You're absolutely right. So, went to the States, and the same thing happens again. Super, super young whiskey. Some of it not even. I mean, the Texas Balcones that I have downstairs, one of them literally says on the bottle that it's 15 months old, and the other one is 23 or 26 months old or something. So really, really young whiskey that's really engaging and tasty. And it made me re-evaluate the whole 12-year-old thing that we've got in Scotch. Of course, we've got 8-year-old stuff, Glendronach, Lagavulin, 8-year-old. We've got lots of 10-year-olds from Ben Romack, Ben Nevis, everyone. But that kind of 12-year-old is often seen as the kind of the entry level, the entry point. So let me show you what I've excluded from that list first. My whiskey of the year last year is a 12-year-old. This is Lagavulin 2017. Thanks to Phil at Whiskey Wednesday. He raved about this so much that I literally clicked the buy button on this while I was watching his video. I always enjoy this. I always look out for the 12-year-old. But prices were creeping up and things like that. And sometimes it's always solid. But this one's been exceptional because there's that really nice sweetness, that kind of custardy note, that kind of biscuity note, and that texture, that velvetiness that came from this. And this is my second bottle, and I was supposed to keep this sealed. I was supposed to keep this intact. And it's down to here already. So I've just bought another one, the last one in stock at Master of Malt. And obviously the new special releases has just been announced. I'm not including this in the lineup because this is a special limited release at cask strength. But nevertheless, if in case people were asking, well, you called that your whiskey of the year last year and it's a 12-year-old. Likewise, I really love Springbank 12-year-old cask strength. I like this stuff as well. This one is actually one of the dirtier ones that I've tried. This is really quite sour compared to others. This can be quite sweet and spicy. But this expression is slightly sour. Still absolutely love it. Still a fantastic whiskey. And the price that they put this out at, this was £54. Fabulous. But again, it's a batch release, special limited. It's difficult to get your hands on. If you're not fast, it's gone. So yeah, I have to discount that. So let's get into the 5 that I feel in the 12-year-old band I think are worth the money. This is not 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Kind of loosely, more or less. But like I said at the start of the stream, it's completely interchangeable. First up is Kalila 12. You have to like peaty whiskey. People talk about Kalila being light peat, and it's not really. It's a very, very peaty whiskey. And if you doubt how peaty Kalila is, try making your own wee blend in a small 20 cl bottle or something like that. Fill it full of Highlands and Speysides and things without any smoke. And then add 1 tablespoon of Kalila into that blend, and you've got a peated blend. There's plenty peat in this. This is a fully peated whiskey. Yes, it's a bit more delicate in some respects, but it's a solid 12-year-old. Probably one of the most consistent peated whiskies that's out there. And really, thank God for Kalila. That factory that exists on Isla does all the heavy lifting in terms of peat demand for the planet and lets the other distilleries get on with the business of making good, solid single malts and having a bit more freedom, let's say, with their single malt lineups. This is fantastic whiskey. And again, if you ever doubt it, pour it blind. Pour yourself an Ardbeg 10, Lagavulin 8, whatever you want to pour alongside this. Put this in the lineup. And even if you can pick it out and define it as a Cleela 12, I think you'll be surprised how well it does blind. Super whiskey. Be lovely if they put it out 46%, right? Can you imagine? Anyway, let's not complain. The next one, so we're into the 3 now. No, we've got 4 left to go, actually. And I would put this probably just sitting outside of my top 3. And that's because it's one of these character whiskies. This is Loch Lomond 12. Really good value. Loch Lomond have come a long, long way in recent years. They've really kind of turned things around. But this is a specific style of whiskey. This is a wee bit dirty, like a bit like the Springbank, a bit like kind of Benromac. There's lots of kind of those sour notes, those kind of more agricultural character to it. So maybe this wouldn't woo everyone, but it's wonderful. And it's got great presentation as well, 46%. And I think they do talk about natural colour and non-chill filtration on the bottle somewhere as well. This has become really quite delicious. And the great thing about this is it's popping up in the bars all over Glasgow and things like that as well. So even the bars that don't have big whiskey collections, you can walk in, you spot this on the shelf. It's always at a good pour price, and you know you've got a nice whiskey to sit with. So I'm really quite excited about Loch Lomond and Glen Scotia in general. But as a 12-year-old, this is doing a damn fine thing, in my opinion, of course. And if we go to the top 3, this is where everybody sees just how predictable I am, right? And you can probably name it right now. Go ahead. Tell me what you think the top 3 are. Because it hasn't changed much, if at all, since I spoke about this. Just let me grab the chat again. Earlier this year. And I would say that these next 3 are always in my collection. When they run out, I replace them. I don't like to be without them. I like them so much. And that's not common for me. Normally, I like to just kind of switch it up and constantly be trying new things. I can see everybody's typing in Deanston. I've kind of become a bit of a Deanston fanboy. I'm very aware of that. Deanston, Bunnahabhain, Glendronach 12. Chad, that's a fantastic shout. Glendronach 12 isn't in my top 5 just now, but it's worthy of it. It really, really is. I actually don't have any Glendronach 12 on the shelf, but I should. It's a damn good one. Simon Ray saying he's checking in briefly from Australia before heading to whale watching. Wow, fantastic. Just coming into summertime for you as well. We'll watch the stream later with a dram or 2 of Ardbeg. Thank you, Simon, for dropping in, and thank you for picking it up in the replay as well. Yeah, everybody's busted me. Everybody can see it out there. The Alchemist has said Old Pulteney. That's not in the lineup, but I think Old Pulteney is a pretty solid dram, especially given that it's a price point product. You can still get Old Pulteney for £25. It's really good value, and it's usually pretty good. Whiskey Throttle is saying Clynleash. Yeah, Clynleash is wonderful. I always have it at home, but it's a 14-year-old, so just kind of slipped out in terms of age. But yeah, it's very worthy, 46% as well, Daniel. Fantastic. But yeah, I'm busted. Deanston 12-year-old, of course. As long as this keeps getting bottled, as tasty as this whiskey is and presented the way it is, at this price, I'm going to keep it on the shelf. And I love pouring it and sharing it with people when they come round as well. I've spoken long and hard about Deanston and what they're doing there, simply because I think when people do things right and they give us what we've been asking for, it needs to be shouted about and celebrated. And probably hovering always about the number 2, the number 3 slot would be Bunnahabhain 12 as well. Now, I had a bit of a fright with Bunnahabhain. I was in a bar and they had Bunnahabhain behind the bar. I just ordered a 12-year-old and I sat down with it. And I have to say, it must be that it was just a bad bottle or something. It was really odd. I stopped myself taking it back. I kind of nursed through it, but it tasted really quite odd and I got a fright. I have to say, though, that I tried it again in a completely different bar, and it was much more like the Bunnahabhain that I know and respect and love. and that's what's in this bottle. Just lovely, lovely, characterful liquid. I suspect that there's lots of much, much older stock in this than 12-year-old. Lots of it. I think there's a decent proportion of it. It certainly tastes like that, and I really love this. Again, like the rest of the Stell Burn Stewart stuff, like Deanston, like Tobermory Lechic, it's all 46.3% natural colour, non-chill filtered, so it's fantastic. And again, £32, £35 typical price. Casmate is saying, how does the Deanston 12 compare to the Virgin Oak? The Virgin Oak is a sweet whiskey. It's not all Virgin Oak, it's just some Virgin Oak that's in there. It's not exclusively Virgin Oak aged. So they get the balance a bit better than some of the Virgin Oak expressions out there, to my palate anyway. I don't like Scotch when it's too sweet, when it's sickly. I don't like a lot of Virgin Oak. But I love the way Deanston do it, with a nice balance, and that extra spice and grip that comes from the higher ABV at 46.3% helps, really helps it. If you try the two of them side by side, you completely understand the difference. You can understand, and you can taste a bit of the youth on the Virgin Oak, if I'm honest, and you can taste much more of that kind of typically sweet, caramelly, coconutty, vanilla type notes. And the Deanston 12 is a much more complex, richer experience with a bit added kind of spice and things going on in there. It's just a more complete whiskey for me. It really is. And there's a few of you already guessed what number one is. It's pretty obvious. It's the one I was sipping at the start of the night. This bottle is dangerously low, but thanks to a very cool supporter and friend of mine, Mr. Gibbs, thank you very, very much. You replenished me with another bottle quite recently. This is Kilkerran 12. Now, when this first came out, it disappeared. And then that kind of made it not really worthy of putting in any list, because it was one of these whiskies that you couldn't get your hands on. But this is well supplied now. This is stocked everywhere, and the demand isn't crazy like some of the Springbank releases. So you should be able to go into your local retailer, pick up a bottle of Kilkerran 12 for about £35, sit down with it. The first thing that will strike you is probably how it's not an obvious whiskey. It's not a caricature whiskey. It's quite a subtle prospect. And if you do feel that, pour it in contrast with something else, and that's when you can really see how much is going on in the glass. It's a texture whiskey. It's got a tiny puff of smoke on the end. It's very biscuity and shortbready. And sometimes, if you know what Scottish shortbread, good quality Scottish shortbread tastes like, that biscuit you put in your mouth, we had some at the Whisky Club on Tuesday night, it was fantastic. It just kind of melts and dissolves away and leaves all that kind of salt and sugar on your palate. There's a little bit of that in this as well. There's some fruit going on in here, lots of cereal. This is just a well-crafted, high-end whiskey that's very, very good value. And I'm very glad, thanks to Mr. Gibbs, thank you, Paul, that I've got another bottle to back this up when it disappears. So I guess this will appear in a recycled video soon. So all of these whiskies, 12-year-old whiskies, I think I've made my point. They're can you remember what you did 12 years ago? 12 years ago, I don't have any kids yet. 12 years is a long time. 12 years is a very mature product. And the expressions that I've just shared with you now can show you just how much can be achieved when it's cared for in those 12 years. Casmate has said, that's cheating. Was cheating that I've used Kilkerran. And Greg is saying, agreed, it's a great whiskey. Jason Coates might have done HP 12 over the Boona, but it's a toss-up. I used to be a huge Highland Park fan. Used to absolutely love it, love it, love it. I've fallen out a wee bit with it recently. But if I go into a bar and they've got Highland Park behind the bar, Highland Park 12, I'm happy to sit and sip it and I'll purr like a kitten. For its value alone, let's not talk about other Highland Park expressions, but the 12-year-old, for its value alone, needs an honourable mention. You're absolutely quite right, because it's still a very good product for its age. Phil Dwyer is saying he was 14 12 years ago. Well, there you go. It's quite amazing. Connor is saying 12 years is over 50% of my life. Absolutely. So it is a long time. Zach Andrews is in. He's saying, here I sitting in a meeting at work. And not only does he get to comment, he sends over a virtual dram as well. Zach, thank you very, very much. Zach, I had the pleasure of meeting as well when I was over in Texas. It was great to have just met so many of you. Mash and Drum is in. Fantastic, Jason. Good to see you in. Mash and Drum is doing his own channel just now. Really likable guy, good content. You should have a wee look, and you should watch him just now, because he's just starting his Scotch exploration journey, and he's starting with a lot of the kind of the more common kind of Scotch for beginner type expressions. So monkey shoulder he's done and things, and I think he's looking at Bulveni Doublewood and all of that stuff. But it's interesting for me watching somebody, especially somebody that's very comfortable in the American whiskey environment and bourbon and things, starting to explore Scotch. It's quite interesting. Macallan, fine and rare. The doc is in. Fantastic. Looking forward to hooking up with you when you're over here. Too much chat, not enough drinking. And Craig Dollar, my friend Craig, is saying, was surprised HP12 wasn't in there, to be honest. Yeah. If you want, buddy, the next time we're sitting around the dining table, we'll do a wee 12-year-old lineup, a blind lineup, and we'll mix them up, and I'll get you, put them in your favourite to your least favourite, and we'll stick the Highland Park 12 in there and see how it fares for you. Like I say, you can't hold me to this, because I fully reserve the right to change my mind anytime tomorrow. Castmate is asking me to name the quote. He's saying he's taken his first step into a larger world. I don't know, my friend. I don't know. I'm poor at quotes, especially movie quotes. Even the ones I recognise, I confuse the movies. And Charles is saying, how was meeting Ben from Single Malt Alliance? Ben was a classy guy. Very kind, very humble, generous, just a dead nice guy to spend some time with. Really nice. In fact, in honour of Ben, last night we went up to Glengoyne. And Glengoyne, one of my favourite distilleries as well. Actually, another very worthy mention is the Glengoyne 12-year-old. I think Glengoyne gets into its stride, and I've often said it when it's slightly more mature. I love the creaminess of the 15-year-old with a kind of bourbon influence in there. I love the complexity of the 18, and the sherry starts to let its voice be heard. And then as you hit the 21-year-old, in fact, I've got a 21-year-old here. It's Glengoyne 21. I really love that. And the Glengoyne 25 was a treat whiskey for me a couple of years ago, and it's one of those ones that I really struggle to reach past. If I'm anywhere close to that Glengoyne 25, it's difficult for me not to reach for it and just sit and enjoy it. It's not to everyone's taste. Exclusively Oloroso sherry. So it's Glengoyne's Macallan, I guess, but it's 25 years old, sublime, and £260. There's nothing to talk about. 48% presentation as well. Fantastic. Bill's in the Whiskey Dictionary saying, hope he's saying how your stream is going awesome. I think it is going awesome. It's a monologue from me, Bill. If you can sit and endure it, you're welcome to pull up a chair in the lounge and hang out with other guys here. Fantastic to see you in, Bill. Superb. And Paul is in. Aquavita, do you know how the new old Pulteney stands up to the old one? I've not tried any of the new old Pulteney expressions. Lots of kind of new things come out as well. Glenrothes just launched. They've done away with their vintages. I think that's a good thing for Glenrothes. And they've come out with age statements. So they've come out with a 12, a 10, a 12, a 15, an 18, and I think is that 25, I think. And again, the 25 is a bit dearer. It's 300 and something pounds, but it's not ridiculous, given the fact that it's an Edrington brand as well. So I'll be interested to try those. I want to try the old Pulteney range as well. And Hoyt is saying, did you see Bill at Glengoyne? No, I didn't. Bill who? Bill who, Hoyt? I'm not sure. Max is saying, love when you have someone liking one of your favourites. Deanston 12 and the Virgin Oak also can love it every day. Fantastic. Yeah, it's just a good whiskey. And it's nice when people get together and agree that things are good as well. It kind of makes you feel like that what you're getting out of whiskey is similar to what a lot of other people are getting out as well. The Alchemist is asking, what's your take on rye? I always keep a bottle of Rittenhouse and Crown Royal Northern Harvest in the sideboard. Good. Is there any Scotch whiskey you would say gives off a similar peppery note? Yeah, there's kind of peppery whiskies out there, quite a few actually. The old Longmorn 16 that I used to love, the green box Longmorn 16, very peachy, pineapple tropical high note, but on the finish that had a nice pepper note. Not sure if it's from the spirit itself or from the higher ABV. That was a 48% product, but always remember a peppery note from that one. But I would say that no, I mean, when I taste bourbons now, sometimes I get a bit of a rye note in some bourbons. And I didn't like rye. I struggled with rye. It was awkward for me to get my head around. And then I sat down one year and watched the Scotch Test Dummies 16 March Madness. There's 16 bottles of rye shootout, and I had such a blast watching those guys. I bought a bottle of Bullet rye to watch that, and that weekend, that must have been about Easter time last year, and I went down and had a holiday with my brother, and I took this bottle of rye, and there was 2/3 of it left, I think, and the two of us finished it. Both loved it. We went straight out and bought the exact same bottle on offer at that time. It was £25. We bought a bottle each, and we started on the new bottles as well. So the two of us got a taste for rye over that weekend, and I think I've never looked back. It's not what I reach for first, but now at least I'm able to enjoy it. Hoyt is saying, Bill does the master blending class at Glengoyne. No, we went up there and we did the dunking the copper dog into the cask and taking cask samples and tasting them. I was driving. It was a quick visit. I was driving, and I couldn't partake as fully as I would like to, but Ben got to relax. He got to try them, and they let him try the 21 and the 25 and things like that as well. And it was a very, very pleasant visit and experience. Fully recommend a tour at Glengoyne. Lovely place. Just a nice feeling about it as well. Superb. So, talking of Glengoyne, what are you guys all sipping? I have prepared a quiz. No Whiskey Rev questions. The Whiskey Rev and I haven't been able to speak or hang out much recently. Our lives are just that distance, and our lives being so busy just now. It's kind of tough. And I always feel guilt every time I think about him. I just get this pang of guilt. I need to kind of reach out and get a bit of time spent with him. But no Whiskey Rev questions. They're all Aquavitae questions. Anybody that wants to stay and do a bit of the quiz, we're an hour and 15 minutes in. It's getting close to quiz time. If you're up for it, please let me know. Want to make sure that I'm covering everything that I've written down in my scribbled down cigarette packet agenda. Hoyt is saying the Glengoyne 21 is brilliant. It really is. If you like sherried whiskies, I mean, yes, it is a sherry bomb, but I think Glengoyne has always got this classy air about it. It's just kind of seems to be quite a humble whiskey, humble in character as well. I absolutely love it. Whiskey Freedom is saying, thanks, off for my beauty sleep. We'll be back for more. Fantastic. Whiskey Freedom, it was nice to see you in here tonight. I hope to welcome you back again, and sleep well. Whatever time it is where you are, I'm not actually sure where you are. Peter Mason, it looks like he's drinking Talisker Dark Storm. It's one of the better. The Dark Storm was one of the better non-statement Taliskers for me. I didn't really like Sky. The Sky was sickly sweet, and the Storm was a wee bit better. Aquavita, you have no family. You belong to us in the whiskey. Yeah, sometimes they think that. Believe me. Everyone is saying drinking Deanston 12 in honor of the season opener. So there's quite a few of you drinking. I think Whiskey Wolf is drinking Deanston 12 tonight. He's cracked open his bottle tonight as well. Maybe I should do the same. And Amy is bullying people into saying hit the like button. Yes, there's 135 of you watching. If you feel like it, if you want to encourage me, give me a wee thumbs up, and it always helps us if we get the thumbs up on the videos as well. Amy, thank you for looking out for me. You're fantastic. Daniel Farmas is saying Roy is adopted. Yeah, certainly I feel like I've found a fantastic community of folk. And for a while, it was just kind of that virtual thing, you know, it was just kind of hanging out. But I've managed to meet this year. So many of you have managed to hook up and just kind of handshakes when I can, sharing a dram when I can. And our paths have been able to cross at various points over the year. The thing going over to Texas and just having that kind of hammer blow, smashing of the two worlds together, the kind of real world and virtual world, was awesome to participate and really fantastic. I really want more of that. I encourage you to do the Dummies Gathering in Kansas in October, and I hope that can go the same way, because it's just a wonderful experience. Jason is saying, watch the Benromac. I had this Benromac up here for I jumped in on a live with the Scotch Test Dummies a week or so ago, and that's what I was drinking that night. That's the 15-year-old Benromac, really decent dram. And behind it, I've got one of the bottles from Texas. This is the Eleanor from this is the Whiskey Vault. Well, this is the V Weiss Whiskey Company. This is their first release, so it's MGP sourced and matured for a little while in Texas. And they did a kind of a vatting of a couple, and then they did single casks for 3 bottlings as well. This is the 1860 I got. I've not opened it yet. There's some people in mind who I know will want to share that with me. So I'm looking forward to sharing that. It was one of those young whiskies that really, there's no way you would believe it was a 3-year-old product. It tasted fully formed. It tasted like a real whiskey, and, you know, sipping it blind, I don't think you would place it at 3 years old. You might place it at 6, 7, 8, 10 perhaps, but no way you would place it at 3 years old. And then you go around the other Texas distilleries and you're sipping things that are literally a year and a half old. And just in that climate, you know, the maturation is just a completely different dynamic going on there. Fantastic. Really cool. Did any of you get a bottle of Eleanor? Did any of you try it? There was a few. There was the 1856, 58, 60, 62. Be interested to hear how many of you are enjoying that. I was quite struck by it. I was really glad, and I got to taste a couple of them. And out the ones I tasted, the one I picked, just out of pure coincidence, because I just picked randomly the 1860. The one I picked when I was sipping them was the 1860 as well. So I'm kind of pleased that that's the one I brought home. Ryan Quinn is saying, I'd kill to taste that bottle. Are you talking about the Eleanor, Ryan? Yes, Glengoyne 21 is a fine dram. I think I would love to be able to taste it at slightly higher ABV, if I'm honest. I would like to be able to bring the, you know, the strength down myself, rather than, I think this is a 43%. I'm not sure, just going from memory. Certainly tastes 43%. Nice and soft cherry. A wee drop in it. So how many of you, there's 127 in, some of you are peeling off. It's getting kind of late. It's after 11 o'clock now. How many of you actually want to get involved in the quiz? Again, it's much more fun when you just keep your own scores. It's really cool that we've got this kind of chat, live chat playback now, where the chat's permanent here. It's always here. And we can just keep our own scores and just do it for fun. It's multiple choice tonight. The questions, I think, is fairly easy. So if you're interested in joining and hanging out for the quiz, just say quiz, just shout in quiz. The Malted Man Cave, Keith, you've just dropped in. It's very, very nice to see you as well. It's fantastic just how many channels are in hanging out with me tonight as well. I've got some kind of ideas to add a bit more structure to the live streams going forward, to have a bit more fun, to try and find ways of involving people in the lounge, and just kind of, but little by little. Tonight is just about me kind of getting back into the swing of things, and I was just obviously super excited to see all you guys in as well. Per is in as well, fantastic. He's saying he's up for the quiz. Connor, of course you are. Andy is saying Scapa 12-year-old, another cracker. Ooh, you know, that never even popped into my head. Andy, I wonder if you ever got acquainted with the old Scapa 14. That was a cracking whiskey. And then they replaced it with a Scapa 16 that was arguably even a wee bit better. But they discontinued that as well. They've got the Skiren and the Glanson, things like that out just now. I really miss that Scapa 16. That was a fantastic whiskey. Some people Malt Chronicles is saying, I can still type. So quiz. Paul Gibbs, quiz. Fantastic. Quiz it up. Superb. So let's see. Am I set up for that? Am I going to be able to do that quite easily? Yes. We should be good to do the quiz. I do feel like I've forgotten quite a few things. What I will say is that their Scotch for Dummies, of course, your Thursday night isn't over with me. If you're in a time zone that suits, the Scotch for Dummies will be doing a live stream as well after me. I think they go out about 2 a.m. in the morning our time, so you're probably 2.5, 3 hours away before they go live. But at least you've got something else to do if you're in that time zone. And I'm sure there'll be other live streams from the other channels to keep you busy at home, bringing the whiskey to you at home over the course of the weekend. And Andy is saying, was there a couple of years ago. So you went up to Orkney, you went up to Scapa. You know, I've not been able to do that yet. I think it's got to be one of the most difficult pilgrimages to do, because even when you go there and when you make the effort of taking the ferry or flying up to Orkney or whatever, you know, you're there for Highland Park and Scapa, and that's it. I mean, when people go to Isla, there's a whole bigger scene. So I think you would have to, I'd be very curious to see Orkney. It would be fantastic to do it. I have to do it. The completist in me certainly wants to do it, and the whiskey fan really wants to do it. George is saying, Aquavita, I heard the Malted Man Cave wants to show off his quiz skills. Absolutely. Absolutely. Really enjoyed his recent Deanston 18. I mean, your Deanston 18 for me, Keith got super enthusiastic about it. He just belted out this fantastic enthusiasm for what's a really, really great whiskey. And I thought, wow, because I find the bourbon aged Deanston 18 is a really cracking whiskey. It's really good. But I think the newer Deanston product, the Deanston 12 and things like that, actually, that's super exciting, because I'm dying to taste that at 18 years old. If that's looked after well, when that reaches 18 years old, that profile of product, I think it's going to be even better. But he loved and really connected with this Deanston 18, and the enthusiasm and that. I mean, I remember I had it on my tablet downstairs on the sofa, I'm watching it, and I'm just kind of reeling from this. It just came, his review for this Deanston just popped right out the screen. And it's one of those ones, I think I watched it in the daytime, actually. It's one of those ones that you're so tempted just to go for a pour and sip it, because the enthusiasm is so intoxicating, so contagious. There's another new name in, James Hipkins. Fantastic to see you. He's talking to Gregor, and he's talking about a good Armagnac. I'm not familiar with Armagnac at all. It's something I'm a bit ignorant about. Would you recommend, James? Should I explore such a category? Malt Chronicles, Bart is saying, totally agree. The 18 seems too old to be shoulder to shoulder with the newer Deanstons. Yeah, I mean, certainly it's a different profile. It's completely ex-bourbon cask matured, and then I think they put it in. They don't put it in virgin oak, I think, at the end. I think first fill or something. They have a finishing in it, just to give it that extra injection of freshness and sweetness, I think. But I think what's probably in that whiskey, there might be more that's representative of older Deanston, which is, I think, Bart, that's probably your point. Whereas the newer Deanston seems to be a bit more complex. There seems to be a bit more richness about the newer product that's coming out of there. All ready for the quiz, Aquavite. Fantastic. Let me get a good wee drink of water here. And I'll pull it up. Andy's saying, a friend won a competition for 3 days on Orkney and asked me to go with him. You lucky bugger. All-inclusive flights. Fantastic. And Bart is saying, yeah, they finished in first fill to make it better, ? Yeah. I mean, I have to say, I can't knock it because it's a wonderful whiskey. And I finished my last Deanston 18 and I went straight out and replaced it with another bottle. And I paid £55 for a fantastic 46.3%, 18-year-old whiskey. And there was no delivery with that. It was from Amazon. It was a great deal at the time when I jumped on it, and I bought another one straight away, and I'm very, very glad to have that in the cabinet as well. But I take your point, and I fully agree with you that I'm excited about how Deanston is going to mature and what they're going to bring to us in the future. Okay, let's get on with this quiz, guys. Fantastic to have so many of you in. I've never had so many. We've still got 124 in, even at the point of sharing this quiz with you. Usually the quiz is for the real geeks at the end that want to kind of hang out and have a bit of fun and test themselves a bit. And the people who just are in for a nice relaxing chat and things like that tend to drop off, which I'm absolutely flat cam with. It's fantastic. I usually, what I do is also put a downloadable link so that people that miss the quiz or drop out, they can grab the quiz after the event. It's on Google Docs. You can just go and pull it off and share it with friends or do whatever you want to do with it, or test yourself after the event. But those of you that are staying for the quiz, fantastic. It's great fun. Keep your own scores. I'll give you multiple choice questions. You can just stick in A, B, or C. And as we're going through, I'll ask you to give me updates about where you are on scores so we can start to see who's at the top. And the ones that are usually, and I've not seen Tom Aaron tonight, actually. Tom, are you in? Connor Strang, my A student, as I call him, he's in as well. There's a lot of guys that tend to do very, very well. So just pitch yourself against those guys and see how you get on. The Master Drum Jason has just said, cheers, Roy, received your shirt and coin. Fantastic. That means that so many of them are getting to Canada and the States now. Superb. Looks fantastic. Thank you for your knowledge. No, thank you for your generosity, Jason. That's super. And I'm glad you like the shirt. I really am. And I look forward to appearing in a mash and drum review on YouTube soon, my friend. That's fantastic. I'm glad you got it. Okay, let's get this quiz started. Let's see if I can make this work. You should be able to see this. Let's hit you with the first question. Jason should be in charge of putting wee lines in there, and I will try and monitor both screens at the same time. Okay, easy one to start with, guys. Translated, what distillery's name means Valley of the Geese? Which distillery means Valley of the Geese? So the translation into English, I guess. Would that be Glenfarclas? So there has to be a valley in there, a glen. Would it be Glengoyne, or would it be C, Glenallachie? A for Glenfarclas, B for Glengoyne, or C for Glenallachie? Which is Valley of the Geese? I think that's a pretty damn easy one, right? And even by process of elimination, I think you'll do quite well on that. So there's a lot of you that will just kind of follow the flow. And I kind of thought about trying to throw a few questions in there that would encourage people, a few banana skins there. But, you know, I think we'll just start off with a nice, easy question. Most of you should get this. So let's not spend too much time on this one. Valley of the Geese is, of course, Glengoyne. Superb. Question 2. Dalmunnock Distillery is built on the site of which closed distillery? So Dalmunnock is one of the new distilleries that's up and running now, but it's built on a site of a once famous and now closed distillery. Was that Imperial, or was it Banff, or was it Dallas Dew? Dalmunnock is built on the site of which closed distillery? Now this is going to be interesting. I'm going to be curious to see who gets this one, because you know, I think it's the real whiskey geeks that study the lost distilleries, the great distilleries of the past, right? Okay, and this is starting to split opinion. Absolutely, I imagined it would. Whiskey Biker, fantastic to see you in, my friend. Multi-Haggis Muncher, superb to see you in. Saying A. Mikey Hayes saying C. Phil Dwyer is saying Imperial, which I think was A, right? Lots of you saying Imperial. Malt Chronicles is saying it with an exclamation mark. He's adamant it's Imperial. Few people thinking C as well. Rolf, John Paul van der Hoven, good to see you in, my friend. Jason Coates, Kevin Bryant, good to see you in. Let's see, is it indeed Imperial? Yes, Dalmunnock Distillery is built on the site of Imperial. So if you answered A or Imperial, give yourself a point. As we go into question 3, Lochendal was a single malt brand produced at which distillery? We'll be interested to see how many people would get that without the multiple choice, right? So, is it? Oh no, just giving it away. I clicked too far on the keypad, but you didn't see that, did you? You didn't see that. Loch&Dal was a single malt brand produced at which distillery? A. Bowmore, B. Jura, C. Bruichladdich. See what's happening in the comments. Connor Strang is saying Dallas Stew is still standing, currently in a museum, but might be revived soon. That's right, Connor. We've heard that they're after funding. They're hoping to get some funding from, they were after funding from the Scottish Government and various other places, or the Scottish Government was looking for investment to rejuvenate Dallas Stew. That would be interesting. As we know, Rosebank, Port Ellen, Brora are all coming back. It's all happening in whiskey. So Gregor quite rightly points out, he said, I see that. Very funny, Gregor. Yeah. Bit of a blunder on my side. So, of course, yes, Loch&Dal was indeed a single malt produced at Bruichladdich back in the day, a while back. Question 4 is a picture, and this is in the news right now. I'm not going to click to me. I'm just going to leave that distillery open there. There's quite a few clues. It's been in the news recently, so I'm just hoping that somebody can identify which distillery this is. Is it a Thrusk? Is it Altavania or Altavan or Altavane, however you want to say it? Altavania or Tormore? Is it a Thrusk, Altavania or Tormore? Which distillery is that? I'm interested to see. Causeway Coast Whisky Reviews is saying Dilluin. Connor is saying Altavania. Phil isn't sure. Mike is saying B. Phil has finally said B. Rolf is saying C. Fantastic. Lots of answers coming in. So let's go ahead and share with you. I actually stayed in a bed and breakfast just across from this when I was up at Macallan in May. The Whisky Rev and I and our friend Roberto wandered over and had a look at Altavania. People talk about this being an ugly distillery, Altavania, and I don't think it is. From certain angles, it kind of reminds me of a kind of 60s Thunderbirds style complex. I really quite like the architecture. It's very of its time. It was built during a boom time, the second boom time of Scotch whisky, and it's a testament to that. What they've done recently and why they're in the news is they've brought out a single malt expression and they've put a bit of marketing and things behind it. But instead of just coming out and making a single malt, they've tried to be all kind of edgy and, you know, just the way of it, right? And I don't think it's a misstep. I can understand why they're doing it, and I think it will probably be quite successful with it. But I think it's a shame. Anything I've tried from Altavania has been really quite good. Independent bottlings and things like that. There's not been ever an official bottling, but that is indeed Altavania Distillery. Question 5. Wonder what you're at. What are you all at so far? So after we do this question, give me how you are at the halfway point. Let me know what your scores are. Eleanor Bourbon, the one I've just shown you there, Eleanor Bourbon Whiskey has recently been launched by V. Weiss, the Valentine Weiss Whiskey Company. Named after whom? Who is Eleanor? Who is it been named after? Is it Valentine Weiss's love interest? Is it the distillery manager at the Valentine Weiss Whiskey Company? Or is it a licensing official? What was Eleanor named after? Quite a curious one. And I wanted to kind of keep this secret. I liked the story behind this. I thought it was quite a cool story. But it's out there now. People are talking about it. And I'm not pouring a 12-year-old. I'm actually pouring a wee sample of Glengoyne 25 as I see all your answers rolling in there. Because I was driving the other day, I got to just... Ben was getting treated to a Glengoyne 25, and they poured one into a wee sample jar for me to bring home. I've got it here at home, but it helps me preserve my own stock, right, if I drink wee gifts from them. So it is, lots of people are saying, oh, it's all over the place here. This is a good question, I think. Christina is saying C, which would be the licensing official. Kevin Bryant is saying A. Per is saying B. All over the place. Daniel is saying A. Multi-Haggis Monster A. So here's the true story. On the back of the Eleanor bourbon, there's a kind of chaptered story about Valentine Weiss and Eleanor and how they came to build a relationship, let's say. We don't know where it's going because it's only released chapter by chapter. So we don't know the full story yet. We've only had 4 chapters of it so far. And Valentine himself falls in love with this Eleanor character as she beats everyone else in a race, and he starts to gift her little apples and things, and they build this relationship. And it's this cool little story. I think it was written actually by, I forget his name, Pritchard. And that's the story that's on the back of the bottles. But the truth of it is that it's actually named after a licensing official. And it's kind of a cool story. So if you answered C for a licensing official, that's the correct answer. And what happened here is that the Daniel and Rex have kind of put all this energy and this effort into this distillery and have gone through all the red tape and all the stages of planning and licensing and permissions. And they literally needed their very last license, the one that was going to make or break their whole project. And they realized that it was sitting on the desk of this licensing official. We don't know her full name, but her name was Eleanor. And they were on tenterhooks. They couldn't sleep. They didn't know what was going to happen. Their entire future, this whole project, their dream, was sitting on the desk of this woman named Eleanor. And they decided that if she rubber stamped their license, if she gave them permission to continue, that they would name the first bourbon release in her honor, which I think is very cool. It's a cool story. So if you said C for question 5, let me know what your score is and give yourself a point as we go on to question 6. Glengoyne again, another Glengoyne question. You wouldn't think I'd been there just last night, right? Glengoyne occasionally release a very select young exclusive sherry cask whiskey at its cask strength called, this is a giveaway as well, isn't it? My goodness. The Teacher's Dram, the Teapot Dram, or the Stillman's Dram. A, the Teacher's Dram, B, the Teapot Dram, or C, the Stillman's Dram. We're all pretty excited about the new one coming out. Terrific whiskey. Superb whiskey. There's a Glengoyne in front of me just now. Very soft, very light, delicate, classy whiskey. Lots and lots of sherry, but not still enough juiciness in the mid palate. It dries, of course, it dries on the finish, but it's not that short. Just layers. Okay, what are we saying about everybody is answering B to the giveaway question. Yes, of course, I'm talking about Glengoyne's Teapot Dram. So give yourself a mark if you've answered B. Let's see, is anybody admitting where they're at right now? Let's see. Oh, the Doc's on 5 out of 5. Rolf is struggling this week. He's saying 2 out of 5. Whiskey Biker is saying 4 out of 5. Lots of 4 out of 5. Per is 4 out of 5. Connor, 4 out of 5. Connor, you found a banana skin. Wow. Kenneth Kennelty, fantastic to see you in, Ken. Superb to see you here. And he's saying out GN. He's saying good night. No problem, my friend. I hope I've not missed you until next time. Phil is saying 4 out of 5 ain't bad. Wow, I wonder what's tripped up Phil and Connor tonight. Fantastic. 5 out of 6 so far. Andy, our baggy's doing well as well. Malt Chronicles 2 from 11. Mikey is saying 5 out of 6 somehow. Fantastic. Okay, let's go into question 7. Glenfiddich have just released a peated whiskey as part of their experimental series, which uses which kind of additional cask? Now, I've not named what this expression is because I think it's a wee bit of a giveaway, but anyway, Glenfiddich have just released a peated version of Glenfiddich. Now, a lot of people think this is the first time that Glenfiddich have done peated whiskey, but it's absolutely not. Is it in French oak? Is it in American oak, Oloroso? or is it in rum? Which kind of cask? A for French oak, B for American oak Oloroso, or C for rum? What kind of cask is Glenfiddich's? This is the fourth, I think, release in their experimental series, along with the IPA, the Project 20. It was another one. I forget what the third one was. Okay, some difference of opinion here. Some saying A, thinking that it's French oak then. Some saying rum. Some saying C. Christina's thinking A. John Paul van der Hoven's saying C, but he's not sure, question mark. Okay. I'll tell you that this is Fire and Cane from Glenfiddich, fourth release in their experimental series, and it is actually spends some time finished in rum casks. Very specific rum casks, apparently, not just standard rum casks, but obviously a very specific special style of rum casks. Haven't tried it yet. I think it's, from what I hear, the feedback I got, and Ben from Single Malt Alliance, he was actually at the festival, and he got to try it quite a lot, and I think he said that it's a very pleasant, easy drinking, fun whiskey. It's just one of these fun whiskies. Like so many of their experimental series are, they're not meant to be taken too seriously, right? And if they can engage, it's a bonus, I guess. Waterford Distillery in Ireland, an Irish distillery question. So I wonder if Coswico's Whiskies, I wonder if Phil is still in. Waterford Distillery in Ireland uses pot stills, originally in use at which Scottish distillery? Please be careful about how that question is phrased. Pot stills originally in use at which Scottish distillery? So Waterford uses stills from Bruichladdich, Inverleven, or Ladyburn. Inverleven and Ladyburn are, of course, closed distilleries. That makes sense. But is it A, Bruichladdich, B, Inverleven, or C, Ladyburn? So Waterford is up and running. It's producing spirit right now. Launched by Mark Rainier of Bruichladdich fame. And, you know, I'm sure he's doing lots of projects involving local barley and terroir and all of those things. That's him being a wine guy, I guess, that's really close to his heart. So there's lots of people saying A, lots of people saying B. A and B. Gregor is saying he's forgot. That's good of you to admit, Gregor. Superb. The Alchemist is saying, haven't a clue. Don't worry, my friend. Don't worry. It's quite a cool story. But Waterford Distillery are actually distilling in pot stills that were originally fitted at Inverleven Distillery. Now, I'm sure there's going to be quite a lot of you that haven't even heard of Inverleven, but Inverleven was a malt distillery that existed inside a grain complex up in Dumbarton. And Dumbarton, the grain complex is long closed as well. I think it's about 15 years closed. But Inverleven was a malt distillery inside there. And Mark Rainey, when he was at Bruichladdich, bought the stills from Inverleven with the idea that he would distill Port Charlotte in them when they were going to build a separate facility to make Port Charlotte. And obviously that never happened, and the stills ended up going begging, and Mark took them across to Waterford in Ireland, which is specifically why I'd phrased it was in use at rather than being bought from Bruichladdich. Okay, good. We've only got 2 more questions to go. Second last question. Be interesting to see what the scores are. Whiskey Jason is saying Aquavitae, the spirit still came from Bruichladdich. That might be true. That might be true, Jason. You might be absolutely right. Which of these 2 singletons expressions is not, sorry, which of these singleton expressions is not a Speyside? So I'm going to give you 3 Diageo singletons, and one of them is not a Speysider. So I think this is quite an easy question. Is it A, Glenord? Is it B, Glendullan? Or C, Dufton? Which of those 3, A, Glenord, B, Glendullan, or C, Dufton, is not a Speysider? I think it's a bit of a giveaway question, but you never know. Phil's saying Glendullan. Whiskey Biker is saying Glenord. Phil is saying no. He's now changed his mind to Glenord. Phil is saying Glendullan. The other Phil, Causeway Coast Whiskies. Tony Evans is saying A. Mikey's saying A. Per is saying A. Connor, Kevin, Reb, Everybody, it's starting to slip towards A, I think. Malt Chronicles is saying the Simpleton, rather that Ralphie pun. Yeah, he calls it the Simpleton. That it is the Highland whiskey, the Highland distillery of Glen Ord. So if you answered A for Glen Ord, give yourself a mark. As we go into the final question, the last one, I think this is a wee bit of a giveaway, especially since I spoke about it tonight. Which North American distillery makes a single malt expression called Mirador? So we've got a North American distillery making their own malt whiskey called Mirador. Is it Stranahan's? Is it Balcones? Or is it Westland? A for Stranahan's, B for Balcones, and C for Westland. That's the last question, guys. Super excited to see what the score is. Robert Licorice is in. Fantastic. So Robert Licorice is a guy I met over in Texas. Fantastic to see you, my friend. I'm privileged for you to join my humble wee live stream here. He works for Iron Root, one of the nicest whiskies I tasted when I was out there. Absolutely delicious whiskey. Again, a young Texas whiskey, doing a lot of cool things over there. And I've since tried to track down some Iron Root since I come across, and I discover, of course, that Berry Brothers have some in the shape of their, I think they call it Texas Legation or something. I can't even remember what the name of it was. Eric Waite's saying Mirador sounds like something out of Lord of the Rings. Yeah, like Mordor, right? Well, let's see. Mirador is made, of course, by Balcones in Texas. So B for Balcones. If you answered Balcones, give yourself a mark. And please, let's find out what everybody scored. Did anybody manage to get to the finish line with 10 intact? Did you manage 10 out of 10? How did we get on as I finish my wee? I got some other nice samples here, actually, that I just want to mention. My friend Graham from the Whisky Club brought me a really nice cask strength Glenallachie, 10-year-old cask strength, one of their new expressions. That's one of Billy Walker's releases from Glenallachie. And he also brought me something I wasn't able to get my hands on, and that was a long row 14-year-old sherry cask. And he felt this was just a bit too pungent, a bit too stinky for him, a bit that style of sherry cask. And I see where he's coming from. It's quite a powerful whiskey. Connor's saying both the Spirit and Wash Still of Waterford came from Inverleven. Ugly Betty also came from there. That's right, Ugly Betty, the Lomond still, which is now making the Botanist Gin at Brookladdie, which is the busiest still that Brookladdie have. Also came from Inverleven. You're absolutely correct, Connor. I expect nothing else from you. So here's the scores coming in. Fantastic. We had Jason Coates, 9 out of 10, superb. Alchemist, 7, superb. Whiskey Biker, 9. Phil Dwyer, 9. Kevin Bryant, 6. Oh, Kevin, difficult week for you. Mikey Hayes saying 8. Not bad, Mikey. Jason's 3 of which were total guesses. So 3 of his 9 out of 10 was, you've been guessing lucky tonight then, Jason. Well done. That's 1/3 of a chance, right? Oh, sorry, 33% chance. Phil said, 6 out of 10. Wow, Phil. Malt Chronicles is saying 9 out of 10. Damn the Eleanor Rigby. Superb. Andy saying 8 out of 10. Well done, Andy. Fantastic. Connor Sang is saying 9 out of 10. Once again, a whiskey tube question is my downfall. Well, you need to switch up a little bit. Superb, guys. What an absolute pleasure. I hope you had a bit of fun out of that. Listen, at some point in the future, I'm going to start. I don't want to do prizes for the quizzes. I put out that suggestion of doing prizes in the past, and people kind of liked the idea of just keeping it fun. But now and again, I'll do kind of little tokens and things. I'm not going to ship whiskey, of course. It's getting a bit tricky to do that. But if I can find little giveaways and things, I'll share that with you. I would have given an occasional coin away, but like I admitted earlier, all my coins are gone. I probably need to get more coins when I do the next batch. I don't know when that's going to be. I need to pay for the batch I've already bought. Sean's just joined us at the end. Fantastic, Sean. Good to see you. And he said, missed the beginning, missed the quiz. What a day. Hey, Aquavite, still happy to be checking in. It's fantastic to welcome you in as well. And at the lounge just before I shut up shop for the night, Sean. Fantastic to see you. And I'm sure you'll pick up bits and pieces of it in the replay. It's great to see you, my friend. Yoji is saying he got 7 out of 10 pure guessing. Only picked things that sounded interesting. Well, that seemed to be a good ploy. You did not bad. 7 out of 10 is a pass mark, Yoji, so it's not bad at all. Not bad at all. Listen, I'm going to sign off for tonight. Where are we at now? We're running up close to just 10 minutes short of 2 hours. Quite amazing. Really looking forward to just sliding into winter time with you now, hanging out and sharing a bit of whiskey. Fantastic support tonight. Just so many of you coming in. Wonderful. I need to up my game. I need to bring more engaging content. Try and find cool guests and things that's fun. For the live streams going into winter time, but it's going to be great fun putting it together and sharing it with you. I love hanging out with you guys every other Thursday. It's an absolute pleasure. So I hope that you will all, as I finish my Glengoyne 25 and raise a glass to you, I hope that you will all catch the Scotch for Dummies on their live stream tonight. Look out for the other channels, anybody else that's doing lives, jump in and support them, leave a little like behind as well. I'll say thank you as well to Hoyt, who's just dropped me a virtual chat. Fantastic, Hoyt. You're a superstar. He's saying welcome back, Roy, and thanks for the coins. You're very welcome, Hoyt. Absolutely. Mikey is saying, and Mikey, I'll thank you for your patience as well after the exchange that we've had over the last couple of days. And he's saying thanks to you. Thanks to Paul as well. Thank you for the Kilkerran, Paul. To George, thank you so much. Thanks to everybody that dropped in. It's an absolute pleasure to be part of this community. I truly believe it's a privilege. It's a great time to be into whiskey, and I really look forward to spending another couple of hours with you in a couple of weeks' time. I will be putting together a Patreon-only live stream as well. It'll be a bit more laid back. I'm going to try for next Thursday, but I'll let you know well in advance whether I can achieve that or not. But it may be after the next live. I'll keep you posted as to when I can squeeze that in. Per has just given me a very generous dram as well from Denmark. Fantastic. Good to have you back on live stream. A WB dram. WB. I'm being stupid, Per. What's the WB? Thank you very, very much. Thank you very much. Sláinte to everybody. And as Jos has just said, until next time, an absolute pleasure, guys. Wonderful.